Shepnaz podcast begins now.
Welcome to the Shepnaz podcast. I'm Joe, and I'm your host today for
Worship Wednesday.
Yes. We were just reliving a little bit of last week.
Yeah.
And, just enjoying your vocalizations.
Thank you.
One of your favorite Easter songs.
Yeah, I belong to Jesus.
I belong to Jesus.
Come on.
And we've all just been singing that song with you for the past week.
You're welcome.
As we replay that clip over and over again.
It's out there forever now. It's a good thing I have very little shame.
That's okay. You are now the Reverend Zack Zaborski.
This is true. I did get ordained this past Sunday. It's a thing, man. It's weird. Doesn't feel real yet. It's been many, many moons.
Doesn't feel real yet?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's almost like it hasn't happened.
There's a certain, somberness and seriousness about you now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I've been told that I am an elder and I must carry myself as such. We know that ain't gonna happen.
No more skinny jeans.
All right. So,
Suits, pants only.
what does the Right Reverend have for us today?
Well, the Right Reverend, let me tell you, as I've been praying.
I am going to ride this for a little while.
You got to do it. I've been praying and fasting about today's topic.
All right.
I'm just kidding. I did not. I'm going to be honest. We've talked about a lot.
Yes, we
and
have.
so there's times where I'm like, what do we talk about today? And so we were doing some researching and brainstorming, thanks to our good friend, Pastor Nick, and wanted to just kind of talk about worship moments that we have had outside of a worship service setting. So what are some things that happened that's not necessarily like you experience the presence of the Holy Spirit in a song or in a service? What are some things outside of the four walls of the church, outside of listening to a worship song in your car, that made you feel close to the Holy Spirit?
Okay.
So I have a few. I don't know if you want me to start, or Noah, if you would like to start, or Joe, if you would like to start.
Oh, whoa.
I know we're kind of throwing this on you last minute.
Up.
Oh, a little switcheroo.
Yeah, I mean, normally I don't go first, so I suppose I could.
Deal.
Mine is going to be, well, I thought of a couple as soon as you said it.
Yeah.
But this one, I'm going to go way, way back. We're going back into my childhood.
Nice.
And this was a worship moment where I was completely alone. And I was at my grandma's house, and I was in the backyard. And actually, this was, would have been just a few months after my grandpa passed. And I was really close to my grandfather.
Yeah.
And so I was at their house, and I was laying in the backyard and literally just laying in the grass, looking up at the sky. And I can remember it was a beautiful, warm day, and just a blue sky with white clouds. And I was just mesmerized by creation. And in that moment, I didn't have a vision, but I felt the presence of God in such a way that, I remember it to this day. And at that time, I was 8 years old. I was kind of processing the fact that my grandfather had passed.
Yeah.
And we were really, really tight. And there was just a time when God just ministered to my soul, and I was returning that back as worship to Him.
Yeah.
And it was a very meaningful time. It was a signature moment for me.
For sure. Well, and for it to happen that long ago and it still impacts you to this day, that's what's so cool about these moments is they're not just oh, that was neat moments. They impact you for forever. So that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Noah?
My first one, it's kind of weird it's not really.
What a surprise.
I was dressed up as a police officer, stopping people in the road.
And the Lord met me.
And I thank the Lord for the law. I love the law.
I'm a big law guy. That's why I'm a big Old Testament guy. So
Yeah.
it's not a particular moment, but I really feel close and just a lot like when I'm working hard, like when I'm like labor working, that's when I really feel, because I don't listen to which is weird, but like when I'm either mulching a house or cutting grass, like, which I do on the side, I do landscaping, and I don't really ever listen to music, which is kind of weird because it's a lot hours on hours, but I really just kind of take that. I love to work hard for the Lord, like, and take that and just, 8 hours into a job, and I'm like, hey, man, that's what the Lord must have felt like at the cross. and I just need that extra push of energy. Like I just like start praying, and I just and I spend so much time with Him in that place. I really just worship Him for just creation, just for grass and for this beautiful things that we can do. And so that's kind of the first thing I think of when I think of how I worship. And like even at Jordan's Crossing where I work, like we have like a car line that comes through and it's fast. Like we have to load these cars up with food like quick. Yeah. And we're constantly moving for about an hour, like a lot. And it's hard work. Yeah. But I feel like I love working for that. And I love like to think of God and like working hard for Him, for people. Like, that's pretty kind of interesting. I think.
No, it's great. Yeah. I have a similar one with like, I know a lot of people don't like mowing grass. I love mowing my grass. Like, cause
I've got a place for you.
I don't need any more. I like my grass. We have 2 acres and it's plenty of grass for me to mow. But yeah, like I don't often listen to music. Like I'm either listening to like a podcast or just in silence and just spending time with God. Cause all I have to do in that moment is make a straight line, just focus on the straight line. And it just helps me to like kind of eliminate distractions. But one incident that I had that I remember forever is kind of was going through a hard season. I was just not in a great mental or spiritual place. And one thing I love about Pastor Rob and being on staff here is require is not the right word, but encourages us to once a quarter, take a day that we would be working and take a prayer retreat and like, just take the day and go pray. Like, don't worry about the work. The work is always going to be here. But like, if we're not focusing on our time with Jesus, the work won't matter anyway, because we're not getting it from the source. Right. Yeah. And so I was kind of struggling. I went to this place in Mount Vernon. I was trying to remember the name of the park, but it's kind of close to like Kenyon University, Gambier, that area. And it's this beautiful nature walk. And it has like, as soon as you pull into the parking lot and you walk like 10 feet down, there's a waterfall first thing. And it's just gorgeous. And then you can follow the trail, and you can either follow the bottom trail and walk along the river, or you can go up and kind of follow the cliffs that overlook the river. And so I was up there and I had my journal with me, and like the whole drive up there, I had the hymn As the Deer. It stuck in my head. And I'm like, why on earth is this song stuck in my head? And I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, okay, as the deer panteth for the water, so my soul longs after thee. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship thee. And I'm like, okay, beautiful lyrics, but what's going on? So I'm literally journaling, and I have it written down in a journal somewhere. And I'm like, God, I really don't get it. Like, I'm struggling right now. I need a good word from you. Like, I don't know what this silly song stuck in my head is going to help me do. And so I put my pen down, and I'm sitting there, legs hanging over the cliff, and I'm looking out, and I hear wrestling in the woods across the river. And it's here, running. And out of nowhere comes this deer. And you, as like the wrestling stops, and you can hear this deer like breathing heavy, like it was running from something. It was breathing heavy, and it slowly went over to the water and just sat there and drank. And I'm like, oh, that's what you mean by this.
Wow.
Like, as a deer pants for water, like it's desperate for a drink. It's running, it's tired, it's exhausted. Who knows what it was running from? And all it needed was that drink of water for restoration. And it's like, that's what I need for the Lord. As a deer pants for water, Lord, let my soul long after thee like that. And so it totally changed the trajectory of that day because I was struggling, man. I was like, I don't know what I need. And God's like, you just need to long for me. Like that deer needs a drink of water. You need me. Like this day, you need to spend time with me. And I was like, okay. And I just sat there and worshiped God and thanked him for that moment. And I'll never forget it. I have that journal
really
at home. It was a game changer for me. So got any others? I got a couple. So
Well,
it's up to you. I just don't want to jump the gun if we want to take turns.
Noah, do you have one?
Yeah, I remember in high school, we were joking about this earlier, but going to the Grand Canyon. And it really, have you been there?
No, I have not.
It really is. Have you?
I drove past it in the dark. And actually, I'm about to share that story here in a minute, so go ahead.
It's it really is one of the most incredible. Like it pictures, it looks like that, but it does it's like something far more uncomprehendable to look at and to be with and to be near.
Mm-hmm.
And we were at NYC actually, the Nazarene Youth Convention or Conference,
Yeah.
and it was in Phoenix. And so we were with a bunch of people who were obviously Christians, and it was cool to like sit there and like be able to talk about that too. Just be like, man, this really makes sense. Like how, like this is a big hole. Like it's such and it's crazy. And that's the first time because I was a new Christian at that time. And so it was the first time I really looked at God as like our creator.
Yeah.
And as the person who's like knit our bodies together. And so it was cool to experience him in kind of a new way, because like I experienced him as a father and as somebody who chases me down, and like, but then there's this like he is a creator also, and he is like far bigger than we know and far. So that was a really cool moment for me as well.
Mm-hmm. That's huge. Well, while we're on the topic of Arizona, I'll share mine. So, as we've talked about 10,000 times, I used to travel with a band, and because we were not a big or great band, we were our own crew and our own drivers, and we did all the things. And we were on this tour that just the booking was terrible. And it was like, all right, you get done playing a show, you pack up, and then you got to drive all through the night to barely make it to the next show. And we were driving through the desert of Arizona, and we were like close to the Grand Canyon, but it was dark and there was no way to see it. So when you're out in the desert and there's not a lot of places to stop and rest and relieve thyself, I had to pull over to the side of the highway to have a moment. And so we're out in the desert, the van lights are off, I'm just parked on the side of the road, go do my thing. And as I'm walking back to the van, I just look up, and the amount of stars that you could see is something that I had never imagined, let alone have ever seen even close to since that day. I mean, it was like, you know, you look up into the darkness and there was almost so many stars that you could see, like there was no black left. It was just stars. And I'm thinking like, man, the God that I serve and love did this and beyond, and still loves Zach. Like he made this gorgeous, incredible galaxy and universes, and this like unfathomable to even, like I can't describe it with words. Like it's just something you have to see. And as I'm standing there just thinking like, God did all of this and yet still knew me, like, and loved me enough to send his son down to save me from my addictions and my sins, and to put me on this path where now I get to travel and play music and point people to Jesus. Yet he created this universe, the billions of stars that I can see, and he's still like, but I love Zach and I love Joe and I love Noah. Like it was just one of those moments where I felt like God was kind of like looking down and winking and just saying like, I still see you. You see my creation, but I see you.
Ian, the story I was going to share, and maybe I've shared part of this before, I don't know, but very similar in the experience. But when we were going on a family vacation with the Linkers, and this was actually when Caleb was going to propose to Melanie. And everybody knew except for Melanie. And he had picked this spot specifically because it's supposed to be like the darkest skies east of the Mississippi. And
Wow.
so we had this cabin and we were there for a few days. And one night, because you have to go in the middle of the night to really fully appreciate it.
Yeah.
So you can imagine all of the linkers and all of the Aylshires.
It's a big crew. Big crew.
We were now going up a mountain in a couple vehicles, and this, like, there's very strict rules about this mountain. Like, you can't drive with your headlights on, and it's dark because they don't want any ambient light at all. You know, no
zero light
artificial
pollution.
light, nothing.
Wow.
And so you're allowed to have your parking lights on, and that's it. So you're driving by your parking lights on a mountain.
Safety first.
Yeah. And we finally get up to the top of this mountain, and there's like a big observation platform. It is so dark when we get out of the vehicle that when we turn the parking lights off and we're getting out of the car, you can't see the person on the other side of the car.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it is that dark. I've never been in a place that dark before.
Yikes. Scary.
And so you could have flashlights, but they had to be like either red or I think had to be red. I can't remember. There might have been one other color that you were allowed to have. But so we make our way up onto this platform because it's like a couple flights of steps up to the top of this platform. So now you're above the trees, and it's this big open concrete platform, and we just laid down on the concrete. And we're looking up at the sky, and like you're seeing shooting stars. I mean, like crazy. Like, where did all these come from? You know, we don't ever see these, but it was constant. And this is like 2:00 in the morning that we're all up there. And as I'm looking at it, you know, of course, a lot of times people will talk about, well, I wonder if there's life somewhere else out there. And you know, a lot of times when you're looking at the immensity, you're like, what's the odds? You know, maybe there is. And that's not the point of this story. But I think sometimes we get caught up in that because we wonder what was the purpose of making all of this if it's just us here?
Yeah.
And I think the answer is that was the whole point.
Yeah.
Was like, I'll show you what I'm capable of, but it doesn't take away from how much I love just you.
Yep.
And as I was looking at that, I was like, wow, that, you know, God just flexed a little bit, you know, to like, this is what I could do in one day.
Yep.
Like, I just say up here and that happens.
Yeah.
But when you ask me to help you with your flat tire, I will be there for you.
Yep.
And I will listen to you, and I will walk through your little mundane situation with you, not because I think it's mundane, but because I care.
Yes.
And like, that was just a worshipful experience for me.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And just, you know, being together with family and seeing that and realizing, wow, you know, that's just how much he loves us.
That's huge. That's cool. I love it. Well, I got one more. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, we got time for one more.
All right. So this was, again, kind of in a rough part of my life. So before I did ministry, I had a job at the Abercrombie & Fitch warehouse doing HR, which is an interesting job for me. But long story short, was engaged to Kristen. We were planning our wedding. We were probably 6 months out from our wedding, and get a knock on my office door. HR comes in and says, hey, we have a meeting real quick. We need to talk to y'all. And brought us in. They said, hey, hate to do this, but because of some decisions that the company's made, we're laying off 700 people today. And unfortunately, Zach, you are one of those people. And so at the end of the day, pack your stuff and you can't come back tomorrow, unfortunately. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, I was supposed to be getting married. Like, this was going to be my future. Like, it was a good paying job. Like, I had promise for growth in the company and all these things, and got laid off. And I'm like, okay, so what do I do now? And at the time I was volunteering at Grove City, and it happened on a Wednesday. got laid off. And so I worked the rest of my day, and I was leaving straight from work to drive from New Albany to Grove City to serve in the youth department. And I'm like freaking out and crying out to God, like, what am I going to do? And of course, on the way, I get a speeding ticket.
Of course.
Just why not, right? And so I'm like, oh, okay, God, like I just lost my job and now I got to spend, over $100 on this ticket. And what am I going to do? And then around that same time, my grandpa's health was really failing. He had dementia and he was at the end of his life. And so he was at home in hospice. And so I remember getting done with youth group the very next day. I didn't have to go anywhere because I didn't have a job. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just go see grandpa and just hang out with grandma and grandpa and spend a little time. And I'm like sitting on the couch and he is just not there. He's not capable of understanding who I am, to the point where at one point he looked over at the couch and was like, get out of my house. Who are you? Leave us alone. Take what you want, but get out. Like, thought I was there to rob the place. And so I'm just emotionally, I'm a train wreck.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just lost my job. I just got a speeding ticket. My grandpa doesn't even know who I am. He's going to die any day now. Like, God, what are you doing? And I just felt this weird peace come over me. And he was like, Zach, had you not lost your job, would you be able to sit here and spend these last few days with your grandpa? Like, you'd be working. You're too new to take vacation time. He's like, maybe I literally orchestrated this so that you can spend these last few moments with your grandfather and be there for his calling hours and be there for his funeral. Like, maybe the next thing I have for you is way better than Abercrombie.
Yeah.
And I just remember that overwhelming peace coming over me of like, God's got this taken care of. It's going to be fine. And sure enough, we got through that week, went to one job fair and ended up getting a job at Discover Card the very next week. And I got even more money and better hours. And had I stayed there longer, I would have had full insurance and, like God totally orchestrated it. But then even in that job, which was not my ideal job, it was just something to pay the bills for the wedding. 2 weeks after Kristen and I got married, God lined it up to where I could have my first full-time ministry job. Went on paper, didn't deserve it, don't have a degree for it, didn't have any qualifications other than, yeah, you're a musician, you can lead worship for us. And God just continued to open every door that I needed. But in that moment, sitting on the couch, watching my grandfather pass away, I felt this moment of worship, right? Where I felt the presence of the Holy Spirit. Literally, it felt like like he put his arm around me. Like it felt physical, like a physical comfort. And he was just like, I've got this all figured out, man. He's like, you don't need to worry. He's like, maybe this is on purpose.
Nice.
So yeah, it was great.
Great to hear. We don't know what you're going through today, but as we shared with these stories, there's great up times when you can worship the Lord, and even in the down times you can worship the Lord. So we hope that you're able to find that today in whatever circumstances you are. And if you want to reach out to someone to say, hey, I need a little extra help, someone to walk alongside me, email us at podcast@shepnaz.org. We'd be happy to walk alongside you. You can also check out everything that's going on in the church by going to shepnaz.org. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For Pastors Zack and Noah, I'm Joe. Have a great day. This podcast is a production of the Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, Gahanna, Ohio. Email to podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know what you think.